Hi, guys. Great news. Yay. What's up, everybody? I hope everybody would be on the live with me. I know I'm a bit late, probably an hour or two. Good news. Trinidad and Tobago have gotten the OFAC license. Whew. Should I wait for people to come on board? Okay, let's see. So that's great news. So, as you guys know, my name is Renor, and today we are going to be talking about some major thing that is happening right now. It was announced, so we're going to be reacting to an announced press hearing in Trinidad about receiving the OFAC license for the Dragon gas field deal, led by U.S. Secretary Marco Rubio. This has been approved. This was going on since last week, as you guys may have known. This is not just any regular deal, you know. This one got some serious geopolitical weight, and that's one of the reasons why I am covering it. And it could shape the future of oil and gas in the region because there were other deals too that were approved. So, whether you are tuning in from Trinidad or Guyana or anywhere else in the world, stick with me as we break it down and talk about it, and as I react to the AG who is giving this announcement. So, let's start. So here we go. So I see I have one person. I just want to welcome you. It's nice seeing you. Welcome to my live. I wonder if I should wait for more people to come on board before I start. I'm so excited. God is working, you know. Before we start, let me just say a quick word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for answering prayers. We thank you for this is a new beginning and a bigger, brighter future for Trinidad and Tobago. I am elated. God, you said, no good thing would you withhold from them that love and serve and walk righteously before you. And Father, Lord, we thank you for approving this deal and that we officially have the license. Now, what that could mean with Venezuela, we just ask that your perfect name be glorified in Trinidad and Tobago. So let's get rolling, guys. I am happy, so happy. Okay, let's take it off here and let's begin. I'm so happy. Oh my gosh, I can't stop talking about this.
Of the Treasury of the United States has granted the OFAC license that was applied for by this government and the National Gas Company to pursue the exploration of the Dragon gas field. The grant of this license represents the result of the diligent and dedicated diplomacy of the Prime Minister and her government. The license, which was granted yesterday, was granted pursuant to powers conferred by U.S. law in the Venezuela sanctions regulations.
Simple. I only pay $10 a month for my internet connection. Fast, unlimited, anywhere. Have you heard about Ryoko Pro? This is the cutting.
Sorry about that, guys.
Issued under certain executive orders, and it authorizes U.S. persons, including employees, affiliates, contractors, and service providers employed by or acting on behalf of or for the direct or indirect benefit of the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, Shell PLC.
Now, this is actually 20, I think I'm late. So, this was done, I think, an hour or so ago. So, full on head again. Welcome to those who are just signing in or just clicked on my channel. I appreciate you. So, we're going to continue with the Office of the Attorney General. The Attorney General is speaking on behalf of Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar. And with great news, we officially got the approval for the Dragon Gas Field deal. And it is good news. I am so happy and I'm proud of my country. This means that it's going to be 3 trillion gas. I don't know. We'll figure out the details, guys. So I just had a brain fog. So let's continue on.
Futura Clara Limited and their subsidiaries and their affiliates and contractors to engage in transactions ordinarily incident and necessary to negotiations with the government of Venezuela and Petróleos de Venezuela executives in connection with the Dragon Gas project. Paragraph 1 of the light.
Wait, what? Let's just listen to that over again because I want to pay attention. And he just said something very important there. So let's just go back. Just for 1 minute, okay?
PLC, Futura Clara Limited and their subsidiaries and their affiliates and contractors to engage in transactions ordinarily incident and necessary to negotiations with the government of Venezuela.
Okay, so what he's saying is that there are subsidiaries, meaning other gas company from Venezuela, who are going to probably not negotiate, that's a wrong word, but act as a third person or a person speaking to be that middle person then, who would be monitoring. It's like you have a divorce and the husband and wife doesn't want to talk to each other. There's somebody who's in there, I forgot the name of the word of it, but that person would be negotiating or talking for Trinidad and Venezuela. So it'll be a back and forth. So no delegate or administrator or from the administrative Trinidad part or government would be directly going to Venezuela to have any sort of discussion. There's somebody who's a mediator, that's the right word, a mediator who would be in there, being back and forth with discussions and talks. You get it? I hope you guys understand that. Now this is for anybody who doesn't understand what he just said there. So we're just going word for word, not really word for word, but just to clarify certain things for certain people.
And Petróleos de Venezuela executives.
So he's actually calling out the company's name that will be the mediator.
Paragraph 1 of the license states inter alia that it is based, and I quote, upon the request dated May 19th, 2025 and supplemental information provided on diverse dates in June and July of 2025. The effect of the grant of this license is to permit the government and the NGC to engage in negotiations with the government of Venezuela and other stakeholders to advance the Dragon Gas project without breaching sanctions imposed by the United States government and U.S. law. It bears noting.
Okay, so there he says it right there. So they will be going back and forth, and everything has to be on following the rules and regulations of the deal. Okay, so it has to be within the sanctions that U.S. has put forth in this deal. Okay, so this has to be, I mean, it's not finalized just yet. It's approved by the US as we have known before, but he's legitimizing it. He's saying yes, they have received the the sanctions has, or the OFAC has been approved. All right, but still there is another step to go, and the other step to go is to have a mediator informing Venezuela and to negotiate a little further now to having this final final process made. Okay? Because remember, there's a lot of issues going on right now in the maritime waters and with U.S.
That the last administration spent in excess of $120 million pursuing this project,
$120 million.
with nothing to show for it after 2 years. This administration has spent less than $500,000 in securing this license. This fact alone speaks volumes with respect to the manner in which the government and the Prime Minister has undertaken the business of the people of this country. The Ministry of the Attorney General, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Energy, together with the National Gas Company, are now tasked with the responsibility to take the necessary steps to advance this project, which is important to the future development of our energy sector. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will take your questions, general questions.
Okay, so you heard him confirming that there's an additional step to go, and we just explained the additional step, right? So now, which is good. I mean, he's letting us know, and they're being frank and transparent. There's nothing to hide. I mean, this administration, the administration under Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar has been transparent. I mean, they're not shying away from the press. They outrightly say what they plan to do, and they explain it to the press. They have press meetings every week. I think today is one. And letting the people of Trinidad and Tobago know what's going on. I can't put my head on a block for the past or the previous administration on whether or not they had press meetings or informing the people of Trinidad and Tobago what they were doing or how things were moving. But so far, what I have seen thus far since Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar and her administration are doing is good. I know not everybody's going to agree with me, but such is the life, right? We all have different opinions, different view of things, and we all are allowed to express ourselves and, say, with respect, not hurting anybody.
Hi, Ryan. Davis from the Newsday. Thank you. Hi, yeah, Ryan Hamilton Davis from the Trinidad Newsday. Now that you have the grant for the OFAC license for negotiations with the Venezuelan government, do you have any indication that the current exploration and production license that you have with the Venezuelan government, do you have any indication that...
Did he mention grant? I didn't hear grant. Did you guys hear anything mentioned about a grant? I know he's talking about the OFAC license. So, I don't know. Tell me.
They can honor that right now, given the obvious tensions between both TT and Venezuela and the US and Venezuela?
Well, the license was obtained yesterday, and the government has already begun to take steps, the permitted steps pursuant to this license, to advance this project.
So does that mean that you have spoken to the Venezuelan government, made any arrangements?
I would not get into those kinds of details at this time.
Did he not just listen to what he said? This is why I was stopping, listening to hear what it is he said. He called out a list of Venezuelan companies that would be doing the go forth, back and forth. And we could always also go back and listen and hear what it is that he just said. Right.
Would you be able to give me an idea of when you'll be able to get into those kinds of details?
Well, we have a window of opportunity, and the government is moving assiduously to exploit that window with urgency.
Well, I did notice you mentioned the Minister of Energy and the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the task to engage the Venezuelan government, but I don't notice that the ministers are here. So I'm just wondering, why is this being taken up by the Office of the Attorney General right now, and we're not seeing, either ministers? I'm hoping they're going to Venezuela.
Online, on Mac, immerses you in a universe with thousands of...
I'm sorry. The last question was...
That was just hope of mine that day.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, that's what journalists are supposed to do, ask questions. But they just got the license yesterday. It's quite obvious. They have been every week since Kamala went to New York and then went to Washington, have been speaking about this. We all knew what was going on. The media houses knew. I knew. People in America knows what is going on. So with him asking that question when they just got the license yesterday, and what it is that he explained before he was asked that question. But the journalist is doing what they normally do, ask questions.
They would be on their way to Venezuela right now, engaging.
Well, they are not at present on their way to Venezuela. To take the second part of your question first, and why the Office of the Attorney General, I think in the United States, the license is generated by the Department of the Treasury. In our system, roughly translated, that comes to me. It's a license, it has terms, it has conditions.
It's legality.
I've tried faithfully to reflect those terms and conditions.
Anything legal has to go through.
If you could expand on one aspect of one of Rubio's earlier statements. All right, he was speaking about having a deal with the Venezuelan government for access to the Dragon gas field, but without any kind of benefit to the Maduro government. And it might be a little bit difficult seeing as it's their gas. How are we as a government working around that?
I cannot and will not attempt to
answer that
speak
question
for Secretary of State Rubio.
I'm asking how we pants and work around that stipulation?
Well, there are ways. It's a commercial win-win for all of the parties. The United States benefits from this arrangement. There are terms and conditions in the license which ensure that U.S. companies benefit, and there are tiers as to exactly how they should benefit. Trinidad obviously stands to benefit, and to a certain extent, of course, the people of Venezuela will benefit.
Good afternoon. I think it might still be morning. Good afternoon, AG. It's now afternoon. I was wondering, could you tell us what is, Alicia Boucher from TV6 News. Could you tell us what is the duration of this particular OFAC license? We know the previous one was for 2 years.
Okay, so the previous arrangement was to license the entire project. The approach of the U.S. government this time is to have a tiered approach. And in this first approach, we go to April of 2026 with certain benchmarks in place.
Okay.
So that it's not in
Okay, and when he says tiered, in case someone doesn't understand, when he says tiered, okay, so like in a pyramid, right? There's tiers. So there'll be, have you ever seen the food pyramid? There's like 1 level, 2 level, 3 level, and each of that level or whatever containment has a specific or whatever things requirements are in that containment. So that would be a tier. So it'll be like this level, the middle level, and the top of the pyramid. So it's like 3 levels, and those levels will be called tiers. So there are what he's talking about tiers. He's talking about there are requirements that have to be made within each tier. So each time, and that license has until, he said, April 2026. So certain things have to be required, I think, with every tier, probably every year or every month, every 6 months. It's according to the requirements that U.S. has implemented. Is that the right word, implement? Yeah. Okay, so let's continue on.
not the entire Dragon gas project, which is licensed. It would be steps towards
Steps, right.
the exploitation of the gas. So what we are dealing with in this initial stage would be negotiations. Those are now prohibited. Well, up to yesterday, they were prohibited by law. The license, the OFAC license, gives us permission to engage in step 1. And subject to conditions.
Oh, okay.
Once we hit those conditions with respect to benefits to the United States, ensuring that our relationship, well, the negotiations keep within particular lines with Venezuela, then you go to second and third,
Okay.
a second and a third stage.
So just from my clarity into
So then, therefore, he explained it. So it's steps. I said levels. So it's different levels, different steps. If it's either levels or steps. But there are a list of requirements or list of rules that we, Trinidad has to go by when concerning the sanctions that are placed on Venezuela.
in terms of the 30-year license that we were able, the exploration license that we were able to get from Venezuela to explore the Dragon gas field, is it then that we have to go back and renegotiate that particular
No, this has nothing to do with, this is not tied to that, the separate
Okay.
license arrangement with Venezuela. This is
A new.
a license granted pursuant to U.S. law to do certain things.
Okay.
The last one, that the comparable one, would be the 2-year license, which came to naught. And the approach then was to license the project, bringing the gas to market. That is not the approach this time. The project is taking place in stages, and at each stage there is a requirement that we hit benchmarks, that we operate within lines, that we negotiate with Venezuela within lines, and that certain outcomes for the United States are obtained.
Hey, so one of the biggest challenges that speakers have is figuring
Okay.
out what is it that I actually speak about, because there's an overlap here. I want you to think about, like,
So, guys, you understand what's going on. He then explains it a third time just to make sure, because the media houses, the journalists, just doing what they have to do. They're trying to catch him saying something off mark or off his they're just trying to catch him in a lie, okay, or catch him saying something wrong or in error. But he's a lawyer, so he knows how to speak the lingo, you know. So he's speaking the lingo, and this is his third time repeating himself. He's saying benchmarks has to be made, lines have to be drawn, and they have to keep in certain guidelines, and also the U.S. outcomes have to be met. So the U.S. has placed certain outcomes, certain sanctions has to be met, certain guidelines. So this is more or less him not speaking in layman terms, right? I'm trying to analyze it and speak layman to you guys who might not understand what he's saying. But more or less, the journalists are just doing their job, which is to question and to catch him saying something in error so they could give their own narrative, you know, a bounce. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. I think you guys do. I hope so. But feel free to comment and let me know if I was wrong and my analyzing was wrong as well.
Okay, I know it's a little bit complex, but does it impact at all that I know that there would have been certain things that would have been agreed to in that 30-year license?
She said, I know it's going to be a little complex. You asking a man who's a lawyer and an AG, you the journalist, asking him, I know it's going to be a little complex. So you're telling him that he doesn't know what he's saying? I sense some sort of disrespect there. I don't like how she said that, so she's saying that he doesn't understand what she's asking him when he just explained it to her. He says, no, this is a different deal. Well, it's not a different deal. Yes, it is a different deal where it's more more to deal with a list of rules, benchmarks, lines, outcomes that the U.S. expressed that they want to see fulfilled. Let's go back.
That's right. For us to go ahead and explore and all of that. And then there was the OFAC license, the 2-year OFAC license. What I'm trying to get at is with these new terms and conditions, because I'm picking up, but you can correct me, I'm picking up that the terms and conditions of this particular OFAC license are very different from the previous one.
They are very different from the previous license, OFAC license. But when you introduce the arrangement with Venezuela, I mean, you start off by, it's a misconception. The parties, they are different. Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela will be parties to that agreement. This is a license granted by the United States to Trinidad and Tobago to do various things in connection with that project. So, two completely different things, and I just hope that I have clarified. Well, it is a complicated area, but I hope that I have clarified that. Sure.
Good afternoon, AG. I'm Joel Julian from the Trinidad Express. So, if I understand clearly, right, and seeking clarification, Trinidad and Tobago has 6 months to negotiate a deal with Venezuela with respect to the Dragon Gas project that is approved by the United States. We have a 6 month, this is what this OFAC license is giving us at this juncture. This is what this tier represents.
Well, it allows, well, first of all, it allows us to enter into negotiations with Venezuela, which at the present time will be prohibited under sanctions. We have 6 months to negotiate within parameters. I don't want to get into the commercial terms, but you have to hit commercial targets for U.S. companies inside of there.
I've recently come to learn that a lot of founders and marketers don't quite know how to look up the competitors' marketing strategies.
Those targets are not difficult to meet. They are reasonable. And you have to hit targets with respect to the U.S. and their posture with Venezuela, so that certain benefits are permitted, others, of course, would not be.
Okay. So it seems like it's a tight time frame, and given that, has the government of Trinidad and Tobago, because they said the OFAC license we received it yesterday, has the government of Trinidad and Tobago been in contact with the government of Venezuela to start those negotiations?
Okay, I'm not prepared to go into that at this time.
Good afternoon, AG Geisha Kaulesa Alonso, CNC3 Guardian Media. Can you state what role did Shell play, if at all, in this development, and what role do they continue to play?
Well, Shell is a party to the entire project, and they have been invaluable partners alongside the government. That's as far as I am prepared to go.
Before I pass on, right? So again, we're taking this down in parts, in tiers. We would have seen previous OFAC licenses that you referred to being granted and then being revoked. How confident are you and the government of Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time that we'll be able to hit the targets, and that are we cautiously optimistic? Is this something that we believe could actually be come to the fore? What is he thinking at this point in time?
Okay, so we are very confident that our relationship with the United States, the pivot that we have made in terms of our foreign policy, our relationship with the United States permits us to see that we are confident that we are dealing with good faith partners, and the targets, the commercial targets, are reasonable and not unknown to us. We are confident that those targets will be met.
Good afternoon, AG. Alicia Shamley from EZP News. Just two quick questions. Firstly, you're talking about, to go along with what Joel said, the commercial targets. Can you divulge those a little bit, or give a little more information as to what these targets are?
I cannot. I can see only that there are targets which benefit U.S. entities within the arrangement that we now have. That's as much as I can say. I can't tell you what the dollar figures are.
Another quick question. The previous OFAC license had stipulations such as there could be no trade in fiat currencies. There were lots of little steps that led the previous government having to go back to the US and renegotiate. Can you let us know any, guidelines that you've been given to go into this first set of negotiations?
Well, the terms of the license are clear. I am not prepared to. I did say at the beginning that I would take your general questions. I am not at liberty to disclose the commercial terms and the details. What I can say is that the license is different in form, it is different in substance, and the targets which are set in it are a lot, well, we think that they are very attainable. It's a very short document.
Would we have access to that document? Yeah.
I don't think so. But it is a very short document. It's one page.
So,
He's doing such a great job, folks. Oh my God. When I first heard him, I was like, I had critical stuff to say about him, and this is my probably third time listening to him, and he's smart. He's a lawyer. You gotta think clearly, think before you speak. It might be slow, but that doesn't mean you are lame in any form. Sometimes people take their time to speak, and there's a reason why. When you take your time to speak, and when someone is asking you a question, you don't outrightly say it. And if you don't have any answer for that person, it's best to say, girl, I think I could come back to you on that. I really have to think about that seriously. Whereas where I come from, Trinidad, some people are they want to know what you're thinking immediately. And sometimes it's not good to openly talk things out. It's good to have a structure. And I admire him for that, because he is taking his time to say what he has to say. He can't give them that document he just got. Why should he give the document that he just got to the media houses? No, when it's time to share what he has to share, they will share it. But first he has to do everything in a protocol way,
Just another quick, as we're talking about documents and questions you can and cannot answer, I think a lot of mistrust that the public had, or the perception that the public had with the previous administration, was that all these negotiations were happening in a very quiet way, and people didn't really understand what was going on. Are you concerned at all that that is going to happen this time around? Especially considering, I'm not saying because it's fresh, you're now starting, but will there be more of a transparency with it?
I think she has answered her question already. She just said that mistrust was something that the previous government had. With this government, which is under Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, there is trust, there's transparency. I don't know how more transparent could this government be. They got a document yesterday. They call a press hearing today. You you, the media house, want to get that document immediately, you're not running the country. You're not running the country. There's protocols, there are regulations, there's things that a government has to do. Yes, he is allowing, he calls a conference. He's speaking to you directly. He's telling you he can't give you the document. He shows it to you that it's just a one-page document with stipulations, guidelines, and outcomes, right? That the U.S. expect in tier, right, in order for Trinidad to perform, to have this license proceed, for things to happen within the Dragon gas deal. So with him being so forthcoming and transparent, and you telling him and making a comparison, well, you're making a comparison with the past administration and this administration when you said they were not transparent, and therefore he's transparent. So she has already proved her point. So let's hear what he has to say.
So that's a very good question, but in all commercial...
Oh boy, sorry about it.
FlexJobs is the #1 job site to find remote work from
Sorry
home
about
and
the
flexible
ads,
schedule
guys.
job
agreements. There are provisions which the various parties to the agreements would prefer to be kept confidential. Mm-hmm. That's just a matter of the type of business that we are in. Mm-hmm. What we can see is, and this is, it cannot be disputed, that 3 days ago there was no license. Right. Today there is a license. Mm-hmm. And there is the Dragon deal project has come alive. That much is obvious. We have an OFAC license, and it was granted, mind you, at a time when the entire US government was shut down. So we got this license yesterday. It came into the office of the Attorney General this morning, consistent with...
Kudos to Marco Rubio. I love Marco Rubio. He is so on point. He's doing a great job. And, I think he is a great candidate for the next U.S. president or future U.S. president. He has everything going for him. I foresee that. I foresee him becoming the next U.S. president, and I'll pray for that. Definitely. He's on point. He's very efficient. He knows his job. He's articulate. He's forthcoming. He's transparent. Well, I'm not sure about transparency, but he's, so far what I see, I mean, he's not a Trump, but he is very diplomatic. He's been trained for this position that he's in right now, and I see him as a future president of the United States of America.
My duty of candor, I have revealed to the press that I have the document and that I am looking at it with a view to guiding my colleagues, especially those in the Ministry of Energy, as to the intent of the document, the lines, and so on. And that's about all that I can do at this point in time. Thank you very much.
AJ, I just have a few more questions. You just said Dragon has come alive. Is that a little bit preemptive, seeing that you have not stated that the government has, in fact, after acquiring this license, reached out to Venezuela. And underneath the previous OFAC license, the situation, albeit maybe a bit tense, was not what it is now. We did not have U.S. warships in Caribbean waters and all of that. So is it a little bit preemptive without actually starting negotiations with Venezuela on this particular, with all these terms and conditions of this particular OFAC license?
The man just give all your 20 minutes, 15, no, how much? 25. He spoke for what, 5 minutes? Because the license was what, 1 page, right? One page of stipulations. Then he asked you guys to ask questions. He repeated himself 3 times. 3 times. And then you come back and you're asking him again that there should be more and the old OFAC license. Of course, it's old. It's not the same thing that was in that license previously or whatever was drawn up from the past administration. This is to tell you, I am now getting in tune on what is going on. And you telling me you live in there in Trinidad and Tobago and you know what's going on as a journalist. And then you come back, sit there, asking the man the same question over and over and over. And it's a new license. It's with new stipulations. This is the United States of America administration is new. Justice Kamala is new. They started office in January 20th, right, under the Trump regime. And so therefore, if it's a new government, they will have a new license to be implemented, right? They wouldn't go on the previous license that was documented by the old regime, which is under Biden, right? It's obvious that they're going to want to give a new license. It's a new government who's not even a year yet. Justice Kamala is not a year yet in her position. So, oh gosh, man. Oh gosh, nah. Oh gosh, now, oh gosh. All you're supposed to be bright people, right? I mean, I understand what he say. You can't understand what he say? Oh gosh, man.
Since to say that the Dragon deal has come alive.
I might not have said that we have begun negotiations with Venezuela.
All right. You know what? I think that was enough. Yeah, I think we get the gist, right? I think we have the gist of what's going on. Wow, the Trini journalists and them like badgers. I wonder if there was like that with Rowley. Was there like that with Rowley last year? Guys, tell me, was Rowley a nice person? Was the AG for P&M like sweet like this man here? Tell me. So guys, all right. Ollie, that's it for today's discussion on the Dragon gas field deal. It was quite interesting. Big moves are being made and the impact is definitely going to be felt across the region. Money. Don't worry, it will work. Venezuela will give in. What do you think? How will this change the game for the Caribbean? Just make us smile a little more. I think we're going to be smiling cheek to cheek. A lot of more doubles will be selling and roti making and palori and pilau and celebration will be in play. I think it will have more time to lime. more money will be flowing. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button for more deep dive like this. Until next time, stay safe, guys. Stay informed. Important. You have a right to stay informed. And always keep your eyes on the bigger picture. All right? If God be for you, who could be against you? Love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah.